Michael Malone projects to have a massive starting lineup in year one in North Carolina, but where's all the beef coming from?
This is Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast. I'm your host, Isaac Shade. It's great to be together on this Memorial Day. Hope you've had a great day. My family went to the pool for the first time, and for those of you watching on YouTube in real time, you can tell your boy got cooked. Fried. I was even under an umbrella, but whatever. I'm pale, I'm fair-skinned, and such is my life. Coming up later on the show, we got to talk NCAA Baseball Tournament. The bracket was revealed earlier on Monday. We'll talk about how the selection committee has to do better. Carolina's got a tough road ahead, and it doesn't have to be that way. Frankly, it shouldn't be that way. But we'll talk about, before that, though, we'll talk about Carolina's region, the makeup, what everything's going to look like, all of that. But we got to start with a way too early prediction for Michael Malone's first starting five at Carolina. Based on what we know now, this is always a fun exercise. We do it multiple times throughout the offseason, and I just think it's always an interesting thing, especially with a new coach. Before we get to that, a couple other quick things. Tonight won't be the only time we talk about the NCAA baseball tournament. We'll go more in depth on the other teams that are in Carolina's region, talk about some other stuff as well. So stay tuned throughout the week for that, as well as, of course, we'll go live after all these regional games this weekend. A couple quick things as we record. I emphasize as we record, there is no Matt Abel update. T-minus 50-ish hours until the NBA early entry withdrawal deadline on Wednesday night at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. But I'm thinking it's going to come sooner than that. So we'll wait and see. No Alexdros Samodurov update at this time either, so we wait on that. Although both things, it seems like, seem to be in great shape. We're just waiting. All right. Here's where we're starting tonight with Michael Malone's first starting five. I want to build it. I want to make some predictions. I want to talk about contingencies, all that, and also recognize as we go through it that there's not much beef. Carolina will probably not be the pusher. They will probably be the pushy this year in the paint, but there it is. But here's the thing. When it comes to, if it's a Roy Williams team, it's like, he's going to start these guys. And when it comes to a Hubert Davis team or Dean Smith, you kind of know who they're going to go with. And part of that is, like in a Roy Williams era, it's pre-transfer portal. And so who's coming back, how the pieces fit and all of that. This endeavor with Michael Malone is even more fun because you don't know what he's going to do, right? He could just have a wild hair and do something crazy that we don't know. So that makes the exercise this offseason all the more fun. So that said, I want to know your predictions for the starting five. I'm not going to be able to look at the comments while we're going, but I know you guys are going to want to hop in and start debating it as well in the live chat. So hop over, make sure you do that. All right, here we go. Let's just go in order from 1 to 5. My predictions right now for Carolina's starting five. At the 1, I think it's Terrence Brown. That just makes sense. You bring him over. He's been a 20 or near 20 point a game scorer each of the past 2 seasons, one of which was at the high major level at Utah in the Big 12. He's got pretty good size, 6'3". He is a guy that gets downhill, gets to the rim. I think he's going to shoot better. I expect it to, just with more talent and capability around him. What Terrence Brown is not is your big main facilitator. He's not this Kendall Marshall, Elliot Cadeau type player where he is pass first and often. But with the other guys that I'm going to put around him in the starting five, I think there is enough playmaking for Carolina to be able to do what they need to do. And so we'll leave it with that. Terrence Brown, for me, is Carolina's starting point guard next year. Agree or disagree? Let me know. At the 2, I'm rolling with Matt Abel. I do think he comes back to Carolina. That continues to be my anticipation of what will happen. And I think he slots nicely into that starting 2 guard at that 6'6"-ish, 6'7" height, whatever it is. He will bring, I project him to have a big jump this year. I think he's going to be fantastic. You didn't get Juke Harris, but you got the guy that I think takes a similar leap to Juke Harris. Now, of course, you're going to hear a lot of this as we look at Carolina's roster. A lot of it is projection of guys taking a step forward. And so lots of guys are going to have to do that. And Matt Abel is certainly one of them. Now, of course, the question becomes, what happens if Matt Abel, literally in the process of recording this, announces that he's staying in the draft? Well, then you have to pivot. And either you change how you're going to approach it, maybe Avdalas at the 2, Jaren at the 3, something of that nature. That's where, if you had Joaquin Boomche, or maybe with Samodurov and Keita, you could start all those guys, right? Lots of ways to skin that cat. I also wouldn't be surprised if there's a world in which, if Matt Abel stays in the draft, if Carolina's starting 2 guard might not be on this roster yet. A couple different ways to look at that, whether somebody that's in the portal still or out of the international market. We'll see there. But I think Isaiah Dennis would get a shot at it if Matt Abel's not there. But ultimately, I believe Matt Abel's there. I believe he's the starting 2 guard. At the 3, out on the wing, the small forward, it's got to be Mr. 6'9", Neo Avdalas, coming over for his sophomore year after transferring from Virginia Tech. I fully expect him to be the guy. I think he will lead Carolina in assists next year. He started hot, and then as the season wore on, as either from a scouting report standpoint or from just the wear and tear of it all, didn't have the same level of capability throughout the season. But man, one of the things we're starting to see a trend of is the guys that come over in the international market. A lot of times, year 1 is fine. You have a few exceptions to that rule. But then for a lot of them, year 2, once they are more comfortable in the American game, once they've been here for a full year and cycle, they really take a step forward. So I think Neo is going to be great. He's my starting 3. That's your starting backcourt for me. Brown, Abel, Avdalas. I love it. It makes a lot of sense. At the 4, the lone returning guy that has starting experience or played much for Carolina last year is Jaren Stevenson. I think regardless of talent and other things, which I think he has, I think you need Jaren Stevenson at the 4. You need that experience. You need that returning capability, all of that. Like that to me, he's your guy. Let's not think about it. At the 5, this is where I think Carolina has their most intriguing position battle is Sean Keita and Alexdros Samodurov, assuming Samo is on the roster, which again, everything seems to point to that he has internally committed. It's kind of even been out there and all that. We've talked about it here on the show, but is waiting till his season and everything's officially done. And he can say, all right, now I'm coming. I'm very curious to see, because I think it feels like from what we've watched, from what we've seen, that Keita probably has the higher ceiling and higher upside, but is younger, is less experienced, is more raw. And I wouldn't be shocked at all if it's the kind of situation where you see Samo start the season as Carolina's starting 5, and then either it stays that way and takes a lot of pressure off of Sean Keita's shoulders to be able to grow and establish and produce more as the season goes on. And maybe that flips if he gets to that point, but maybe not. He might not have to if Samo is able to just do it. And I like the capability of that front court rotation, and you've got other guys in there, of course, and we'll talk more about that. But I like the possibility there. What I do worry about as I look at this starting 5 that I've just constructed is, oh boy, if you get a guy with some heft, with some beef, this front court of Carolina is going to get pushed around quite a bit. I mean, we saw it happen quite a few times last year to Caleb and Henry. Henry would just get bullied at times, and this Carolina front court projects to be even more slight. So what you have to do then, if you're Michael Malone, is find ways to hide those weaknesses. One of the things I like about Samo being in that starting five is he is a stretch five. He and Jaron can both be out of the lane. You can have a 5 out or a 4 out, 1 in, whatever you need to do. And that enhances what Terrence Brown can do. It enhances Matt Abel's ability to get to the rim, whatever you need to do. I think you have to attack that way. Find your strength and mitigate your weakness in terms of the Deion Thompson of it all, or the Kennedy, that kind of heft. The DJ Burns, to go back a couple years to NC State, right? That's what I'm looking to do. And then obviously there's been conversation about Carolina zooming with another domestic player that might come over in the portal. We'll see if Carolina is going to add anything else in the front court. It just, we don't know right now, but it doesn't project that there's somebody else who's like, wow, this is your guy. He's going to pop. And that's what that is. And so that's to me where things sit right now. If for some reason Samo and things don't work out there, I mean, you got to keep looking. You can't rest because everybody else is continuing to push forward. And we'll see if this stuff we talked about yesterday with the NCAA's kind of new verbiage that they're kind of updating, the recent guidance they've given on the international stuff and getting stricter with that. I don't think that would affect Samo, but we'll ultimately see what's going to happen. So that's my starting five. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Where are you at? What's your starting five right now? Today, I'm not even going to talk about depth beyond that. I just want to go that starting five. Terrence Brown at the 1, Matt Abel at the 2, Neil Avdalis at 3, Jaron Stevenson at 4. And for me, right now, I'm going to go Samodurov at the 5. But I'm very excited about that position battle. I would love to see it. Gosh, I'm still wishing we were able to get Boomche. I know Duke landed him. He had a great tournament that he was the MVP of this week. And that's just tough. But look, everybody's getting good players. You got to go compete. And that's that. All right. Ooh, I'm getting excited here. The NCAA baseball tournament bracket was revealed on Monday, and the Heels have once again not been done very many favors by the selection committee. But you know what? Let's go. Let's do work, and let's keep rolling. We'll unpack it. We'll get to it coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Rugiet, the NHL playoffs are here, where every shift matters, every moment is intense, and the pressure is at its utmost high. And just like performance matters on the ice, it matters off it too, and that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet offers treatments designed to help you get ready and stay ready for when it matters. Their top option is called Rugiet Ready, and it combines clinically proven ingredients in a simple mint that dissolves under your tongue. It works fast, usually in about 15 minutes. It can last up to 36 hours. Another product they offer is called Go Long, which is designed to help with both performance and control. It's all about confidence and feeling like yourself again. So if you want to check it out, head on over to Rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL and get 15% off your treatment. Again, that's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNHL for 15% off. Rugiet, performance medicine for men. Thanks for making Locked On Tar Heels your first listener watch. As part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. If you never miss an episode, time to make it official. Join the Locked On Tar Heels Everydayer Club. Get ad-free audio, one-on-one messaging with me, free access to all of my stats and charts and data. It's great stuff. The link for that's in the show notes. Go ahead and check it out right now. All right, the NCAA baseball tournament field has been announced. Carolina is your number 5 overall national seed. We'd been talking about it, expected that they would either be 4 or 5. I really thought that they're a better team than Auburn. I think Auburn rides in based on more their strength of schedule, had a bunch more losses, but it's kind of that SEC bias. I mean, ultimately, all right, fine, whatever. But in the next segment, I'm going to talk about what a big deal it was if Carolina had been the 4 instead of the 5 seed. We'll get there. Fine, whatever. Carolina, it is the 3rd straight year for Scott Forbes and the Tar Heels being a top 8 seed. Why is that important? Because not only do you host a regional, but if you win your regional and advance to super regionals, you get to host super regionals. And so Carolina has put themselves in that position yet again. In the past 20 seasons, This is the 14th time that they've been hosting. That's insane, hosting a regional. And they've made supers in 12 of those previous ones, if I'm doing my math correctly. I mean, it's just when they host, almost always they make it out. It's not going to be easy, but man, being at the Bosch is great. It's important and it's wonderful, and I'm excited to see what happens. By the way, seeing that 64 team bracket, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's perfect. Yeah, I'm looking at you, March Madness. Why are we going to 76? Anyway, I digress. Carolina's region. The Tar Heels are the number 5 overall seed. Again, the number 2 seed. So for those who aren't familiar with how it works, it's 4-team regions. For 16 regions, that's 64 teams. And you play a double elimination tournament, and whatever team comes out of that moves on to super regional. So Carolina is the 1 seed in the Chapel Hill regional. Makes sense. Tennessee out of the SEC is the 2 seed. ECU, interesting, is the 3 seed. Very interesting to have them in our bracket. And then VCU is the 4 seed. And so the way it matches up, Carolina and VCU, Tennessee and ECU will be the first games on Friday. As the week unfolds, I'm going to give you more details on each of these teams, what it's looking like, how the matchup's shaping up, all of that kind of stuff. So stay there. As I look at this region, and I'll take you inside the numbers in the next segment, so stay with it. But just even looking at the teams, knowing what they've done this year, this is a tough region. It reminds me of a few years ago, the 2024, when Carolina made the World Series, having to contend with LSU in the region. That was so difficult. They just were a phenomenal team. They were coming alive right at that moment, and it was very, very difficult, and Carolina had them. So they're going to have to do that again. Now, what does the game schedule shape up like? Let me talk you through that so you can kind of understand how things will go. For those of you who are watching, obviously, if we're live right now, you're watching, but those of you listening back later might not see this. You can go find it on my Twitter, but here is the schedule of how the games will work. It's Friday through at least Sunday, maybe Monday if necessary. It will be either 6 or 7 total games. On Friday, this coming Friday, May 29th, game 1 is going to be ECU versus Tennessee. Tennessee, the home team. It'll be at noon on ESPNU. Then Carolina is in action, 5 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus. Make sure you see that. It's not on normal cable. You got to get it through ESPN Plus. Carolina will be the home team against VCU. That's at 5 p.m. Obviously, that's dependent on how long the first game goes, though. If it goes long, the first pitch might be pushed back. We'll see. But I love this. Carolina VCU got to get payback for March Madness, where the Tar Heels were up 19, ended up losing. Do it on the diamond. Let's see it happen. And then, so there'll be those 2 games. On Saturday, obviously, we'll have the losers play and the winners play. The losers will play in game 3 at noon. TV is TBD for that one. And that is an elimination game because the team would have lost the night before, will lose Saturday and be done and gone. And then that afternoon is the winners bracket. So the 2 winners from Friday will face off, hopefully Carolina, and then either ECU or Tennessee. That one, similar to Friday, will be at 5 p.m. TV TBD yet again. And then on Sunday, 2 more games. At noon will be another elimination game. The winner of the losers bracket game and the loser of the winners bracket game from Saturday will face off. This is another elimination game. The loser's going home and the winner advances to kind of the championship game, but they would have to play twice that day because they would play the team from the winners bracket on Saturday at 5 p.m. And so they're now kind of behind the 8 ball because they've played Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they got to play again later Sunday. And that's kind of the advantage there for the team that's coming out of the winners bracket, who has only played twice instead of 3 times and only once that day. If the team from the winners bracket wins that game on Sunday evening, game 6, that's it and that's all, because that team they will have beaten will have lost twice. But if the team from the losers bracket wins, and now both teams have one loss, you move on to Monday and you have a winner-take-all elimination game. And so this is an if necessary, but is always kind of crazy. And that would be Monday at some point, both time and TV TBD. And the winner of either game 6 or game 7, depending on what happens there and what you need, advances to the super regionals. And so there it is. And also, oh man, it brings me around to my least favorite thing. If you're new to baseball, to college baseball, this will be frustrating for you for the first time. If you're not new, you will be reminded of how frustrating it is. Even though Carolina is the team hosting this super regional, is the team that is the number 5 overall seed, they don't necessarily get to be the home team each time they play. So yes, Carolina could be the visitors team while playing at the Bosch. It is just silly. I get it in the super regionals. I still don't like it. I wish the team that's hosting would be home all 2 or 3 games if necessary, but they flip-flop. Fine, whatever. And if you go to a game 3, then the team that's hosting gets the advantage there. But Carolina might not be it doesn't make sense. I've never understood it. They need to fix it. Fine, whatever. It is, to me, the least sensible rule. I get it. They're trying to even the playing field, but it's like, that is what you have earned by being the better team. So anyway, there you go. So the ideal plan is you just stay in that winner's bracket, and basically it's a regular weekend series, because if you win Friday, you stay in the winner's bracket, you win Saturday, and then you just got to win one on Sunday and you're on to supers. So if you just go win and like sweep a weekend series, that's it. And you're moving on. And then it gets more interesting though. If you lose it, like if you lose that first game, boy, it's tough to battle your way back. If you lose that second game, it's tough to battle your way back, because then you're trying to win twice on Sunday. And man, that's difficult. So ideally, you got to win Friday, you got to win Saturday, and then see what comes. And we'll talk about pitching matchups and all that. Very curious to see what Coach Forbes is going to do. And by the way, Tar Heels fans, hear me say this, listen closely. You know how ECU rolls deep coming over, right? Like they're not that far away. Tennessee, the Vols coming from Knoxville, they roll deep. Get your tickets as quickly as you can. Don't let that orange take over. Don't let that purple take over. We need it to be a sea of Carolina blue. People all over the outfield, people over at Karen Shelton Stadium standing on the bleachers watching. It's got to be electric for the Tar Heels. Carolina playing these teams this season. They didn't play Tennessee. Obviously, they played that kind of cool series they always play with ECU, where each team hosts a game and they also play one in Durham. And so the team, it was interesting this year because Carolina won in Greenville 10-0 in 8 innings, a run rule, mercy rule. That was on February 20th. The next day, on February 21st, in Durham, ECU won 10-3. And then the game back at the Bosch was tied at 3 and got rained out. And so they split the season series. That's interesting. And then literally 3 days later, funny enough, Carolina played VCU at the Bosch, beat them 13-3 in 7 innings. But that was a midweek game where you're not necessarily throwing your best arms. And so you can kind of throw that out the window. And also all 4 of those games were back in late February. So, but they have played 2 of these 3 teams already this year. So interesting stuff there. One last thing I want to say before we move on to the NCAA selection committee needing to do better for this baseball tournament. Remember I mentioned the difficulty in Carolina having to deal with LSU a couple years ago? But you know what they did? They dealt with it. They beat LSU. It was, oh man, that was stressful. What a series that was. But they did it. And they moved on to super regionals where they won. And then that was West Virginia, if I remember correctly, and then went on to the College World Series. And so while it's tough, you got to go to work and you got to take care of business. But now, I just want to complain a little bit. I want to be petty. I want to be frustrated and upset about how the selection committee has handled Carolina. I'll give you some numbers because that's what I do. And we'll talk about the storylines and how things could be improved coming up here in just a second. Look, this selection process for the baseball tournament has to get better. I joked about March Madness earlier and how the 64 team bracket looks so much better. But you know what the selection committee for basketball does so well? Yes, they get some misses every now and again, but they are making sure all of these matchups are what they need to be. And it's kind of different because you're not creating 14 pods for basketball. You're just creating matchups. but they have a ranking of all 68, now 76 teams, so that they can try to pair things as best as possible. And so, like, and this is regardless of whether Carolina had been the 4 or the 5 seed. I think Carolina should have been the 4 over Auburn, but fine, whatever. One of the things the selection committee did take a nice step in this year was, they've always done 1 through 16, but now they're doing ranking teams 17 through 32 as well, so that you get kind of a more fair 2 seed in your region. So basically the idea is that for number 1 UCLA, you don't want to mess them up by giving them the team that's number 18 or whatever. They should be getting team number 32. There's a few things they have to move around. Like if team number 32 was another Big Ten team, they couldn't give them to UCLA, that kind of thing. But I like that they've done that, but it's still a step short. Why stop at 32? Why can you not rank all 64 of these teams and make sure you're divvying it out more fairly, with more equanimity, I think is the word I'm looking for. So clearly, going half the field is not enough. There's no reason they can't create an entire seed list just like March Madness has, and then that puts it in a bad spot if they don't. And Carolina is one of the teams that I thought got burned the worst by the committee's inability to rank everyone. And it's also frustrating because Auburn got a plum deal as the 4 seed. Had Carolina been there, which I thought they should have been, they would have been in better shape. And that's where the frustration is if you had been the 4 seed instead of the 5 seed, the region you would be paired with for super regionals would have been Nebraska instead of Texas A&M, because the way this works is, think about it like in March Madness. The 1 seed is paired with 16, 2 with 15, etc. And so that's the way they do it. It's not willy-nilly what team you play in the super regionals. That's already matched up with this bracket. So Carolina, as the 5 national seed, is paired with the number 12 national seeds region. And so whoever comes out of the Chapel Hill region will play whoever comes out of the 12 national seed region, which is College Station, which is Texas A&M. So whoever wins that region is who, if Carolina comes out and plays in the super regionals, they will play. Texas A&M is a very good baseball team. Had they been the 4 seed, which Auburn is, they would have played the team coming out of the number 13 overall seed region, which is Nebraska, is the number 13 seed. And with all due respect to Nebraska, who had a nice year, I would wildly rather face the Cornhuskers than the Aggies. And I'm not saying that's the thing. You got to go play this on the field, because while it feels a bit disrespected, both in terms of being the 5 instead of the 4, all right, fine, I can live with that one, because there are certainly plenty of numbers in Auburn's favor. What I can't live with is the crazy difficult region the selection committee has dealt to the Tar Heels. And the fact that, like, being paired with A&M instead of Nebraska stinks. So you feel disrespected? Okay, you know what you got to do? You just got to go prove it on the field. Because you're going to have to play great teams at some point anyway. And so while I'm frustrated, it's like, okay, fine. Feel disrespected. Caleb Wilson chip on your shoulder and on your lock screen on your phone, and let's go ball, right? And so there is that. But one of the things I went through and did, because this is what I do, is I looked at the RPI aggregate for all 16 regionals. And basically what I did was I took the updated RPI standings for all 64 teams and had my spreadsheet, which you can see if you're watching here, add up the aggregate RPI of each region. Obviously, because like UCLA being the number 1 team as the best team, the lower the aggregate RPI, the tougher your region should be on paper. Makes sense? So using this metric that I put together, I looked at how easy or difficult each region should be using that aggregate RPI. And I know that's just one metric, but go with it. Using that, Carolina, as the number 5 overall national seed, has the 4th most difficult aggregate RPI. That's insane. Moreover, the region they're paired with, Texas A&M, has the third most difficult RPI. On the flip side, had Carolina been the 4 seed, and here's where it gets frustrating, Auburn, by aggregate RPI, has the easiest on paper region in the entire thing, which is also unfair for UCLA, Georgia Tech, and Georgia, who are ahead of them. But here's where it gets even more frustrating. Auburn, again, is paired with the Nebraska region. Nebraska, as the number 13 overall seed, has on paper, again, the second easiest aggregate RPI in this entire field. It's I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, this has to get better. And this is what I'm talking about. We have to be able to rank these things. For example, VCU is the 4 seed in Carolina's bracket. They are the highest ranked RPI 4 seed in the entire, of all the 4 seeds, of all 16 of them, VCU has the best RPI of all of them at 82. The next best is 88, Northeastern, and they're playing in the 15 seed bracket. I'll put it to you this way. Here's some more numbers. The average RPI of all the 4 seeds, if you take VCU out, is 155. The average RPI of the 4 seeds in the top 8 regions, so those like teams that should be the super regional hosts, is 186. And again, VCU is 82. More than 100 spots better in the RPI than the average RPI of the 4 seeds in the other top 8 regions. This is insanity. Let me read them to you. The other 4 seeds in the top 8 regions, St. Mary's 140, Illinois Chicago 227, LIU 199, Milwaukee 238, Holy Cross 207, Alabama State 177, Rider 119, and VCU 82. Like, Carolina has been dealt such a difficult hand here. And look, they should absolutely go beat VCU, but you have earned the right to not have to play a VCU in your first game. You should get to play one of these other teams, right? Like, who's the number 13 national seed? Nebraska, their first game is against South Dakota State, who is 239th in RPI. Why is Carolina not getting that? It just doesn't make sense. Come on, selection committee. You got to do better when it comes to these things. All right. It's frustrating. It's whatever. Fine. I would like to see a more comprehensively put together bracket, like, because you're already taking away some of the home field advantage and you're now giving tougher teams to a team that shouldn't have to. Like Georgia Tech as the 1 seed, they should have, like, the worst team in the field should be their 4 seed. And it's not. St. Mary's, their 4 seed is 140. They have a legitimate gripe here as well. It doesn't make sense. Got to be better. But you know what? It's here. And like, let's get this gripe session out of the way and then let's go ball. Man, Friday cannot get here soon enough. I absolutely can't wait for it. I know you're going to be locked in. I know I will be as well. Let's go beat VCU again this year, and let's get a measure of revenge for the basketball team. And please, can we not need a walk-off grand slam like we needed in game 1 against Long Island a couple of years ago? Thank you very much. Jason DeCaro, we need a gem. I want to thank you all for being here with me on a Monday evening on this Memorial Day. Maybe you ate a steak or burgers or hot dogs or something. I haven't eaten yet. I got to go find something. What are we doing? As soon as we get news on Matt Abel, we'll go live. We'll go emergency pod. We'll be locked in on it. You know that to be true. For now, though, subscribe on YouTube. Why? Hit the bell notification, go all notifications, and that way, as soon as I go live, anytime, anywhere, you're going to get a push notification you can tap right in. If you're not already downloading the audio versions of the show, you're missing a chance to help us grow the show, and I'd love to invite you to be part of that. Go subscribe to the show on your favorite audio podcast platform, hit automatic downloads, and even if you're not listening to all of them, just let them all download, because it's those numbers that help grow the show. Thank you. If you haven't joined the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, where we're chatting every day, it's free, and that link's in the show notes, as is the link for the Everydayers Club. We're going to get out of here. If you know it, say it with me. If you're new, you'll catch on really quick. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We're going to talk again tomorrow, but until then, peace.